So yesterday I posted up a meme that highlighted evidence of two-tier policing in the UK. And what I mean by that is that different legal standards in policing and criminal justice are applied to uh, people of different ethnicities and maybe from different religious backgrounds as well. I'll show the meme now. Now, one of the things that I've discovered since 2020, you can call me naive, but it didn't really fully, I didn't really fully understand the magnitude of this issue until 2020. Is just the proportion of people who they're unable to perceive reality. Instead, what they do is just parrot narratives that they've absorbed from, want of a better phrase, the establishment. So they'll listen very carefully to what other people, uh, establishment people, people who are respected, conservative with a small c, and then they'll just parrot those lines. And anybody else who comes along with a different point of view that's based on facts will then be shouted down as a conspiracy theorist. And we obviously saw this with Divock during the Divock 91 period, that there were people coming up with just factual observations, and then the response from these people was just outright denial. So I don't really buy into left versus right, but there is this meme, isn't there? With source, which is basically your kind of standard pink, purple-haired kind of leftist, screaming source at any information, factual information that they don't like. So when I posted the meme up on my channel, it attracted some of these kind of foolish people making comments. And I'll just show you some of them now. So the first one was from somebody who calls themselves Boss Man Bossy. That's quite revealing, isn't it? Because these kind of self-styled left-wingers tend to be PC, politically correct, PC authoritarians. So this guy says, there is no way that is true, comma, the meme must be verified. Now, I don't know whether that's a joke or not. I suspect it's not a joke. Then there was another couple ones where somebody called Jiminy Cricket 9877. Notice these people, they always hide behind anonymity because they recognize themselves that if they were to make comments publicly without the veil of anonymity to hide them, that if they're obviously not confident in their own convictions that what they're saying is the truth, that they're afraid of being outed and humiliated for writing self-evident nonsense. So this Jiminy Cricket guy says, but surely it's all about context, dot, 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 dot. So what I think is going on here is this, it's a variation on these laws that we have in countries like Britain of protected characteristics. So in a civilized society, the rule of law applies equally to all people, regardless of gender, race, religion, or anything like that. But we don't have that anymore in Britain, because people who have these so-called protected characteristics are treated very differently under the law compared to other people who don't have these protected characteristics. So for example, it could be done on race. So some people, their race is XYZ, so they get treated differently by the police and the criminal justice system compared to other people who come from a different racial background. There's actually a name for that, leftists, isn't there? And that name is racism. That's basically leftists accuse people of the very thing that they are, which is racist. They believe that it's entirely right and proper for the state to hold different ethnic groups to different standards, different legal standards. Then the other statement is, where are the links to back up these statements? So again, it's kind of, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to deny that, I'm going to deny it. I'm going to say it's not true. Source. Now I'm guessing that these people are Brits. These may be some of the people that I used to work with at the last school that I worked at. Some of those were hardcore authoritarians of the politically correct left-wing variety. I've got slightly more sympathy for this one from somebody who calls himself Biorinki. So that's probably some bending of some Finnish word. So this person says, really, full stop, high profile news, full stop, where, question mark. Well, you'll see where in a minute. It is in capitals, your job to provide, to prove your claims rather. I don't live in a cave. There is not many people who live in a cave here in Finland, although there is some folk who live in rabbit hole. So this is again one of these people who they want to try to show others that they're sophisticated and intelligent people. And intelligent people, they go with the PC authoritarian left-wing position as espoused to them by the likes of Yle or Helsingin Sanomat here in Finland. And anybody who questions these narratives, indeed anyone who does some independent research, is down a rabbit hole and a conspiracy lunatic. So for the benefit of this person and the others that I mentioned, I gave a shout out to these people. I wish I knew what their proper names were. Maybe they could come back on the channel and just tell us who they are so that we can kind of publicly ridicule these people, these useful idiots who go along with authoritarianism. In the 1930s, you'd have been the first people to join the Nazi Party and to hug what was back then the prevailing establishment consensus. You people have the morality of the cesspit. So for the benefit of these people, what I'm going to do now is to clarify some things. So let's show the meme again and just go through each of the three cases in turn. So the first one relates to an Everton football supporter who wrote something that was apparently racist on a forum. And so this is from the BBC, so it must be true, right? So what I want you to do is to just pause the video and read it for yourself, if you can do that. There's some more details. Again, I'll show you. So dude number one gets a prison sentence. 15 weeks in jail. So that's what the BBC says. That's what the original meme says. So there's your source. Let's talk about the second person featured in the meme. So this guy's called Samuel Melia, and yeah, he was jailed. So the BBC says he was jailed because he produced stickers that were deemed to be offensive. So I'll show you the BBC screenshot from their site. Stop the video and read it yourself. Here's the second page. Again, stop it, read it for yourself. So this bit is worth emphasising. So what were the slogans on his stickers that were deemed to be worthy of a jail sentence? The stickers reportedly contain slogans such as, quote, "We will be a minority in our homeland by 2066. Well, you know, there's been, obviously that's a forecast, isn't it? So it's not a statement of fact, because we'll only know after the event whether that is or isn't true, and it all depends on death rates and birth rates amongst different demographics in Britain. Second statement, mass immigration is white genocide. Labour loves Muslim rape gangs. That's the other statement on there. So what I would say about that is that certainly in places like Rochdale, Labour councillors did their very, very best to brush under the carpets crimes that were committed by predominantly Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. The BBC did a drama series about that. I think it was called Three Children or something. There's also been newspaper articles all over the UK mainstream press. So for the Finnish person who said, oh, it's not been in the mainstream media, let me put this really simply to you. Like, you are wrong, and not just a little bit wrong. So if you're a man, come on the channel now, write a little comment of apology and say, I'm really sorry for being lazy and stupid and just blindly accepting of establishment narratives. So we now move on to the last person featured on the far right. There's a coincidence. On the far right of the meme. This guy is called Hamoud Al-Suwaimi. And basically, again, this was reported in the BBC. For those of you screaming source, yeah. So you can freeze the page again. The BBC also reports on there was a number of people involved, which is often the case actually in these kind of grooming and rape cases. And I'll show you what this guy in particular got in terms of his prison sentence, what he did, and what the sentence was that was given to him after he was found guilty of rape. So this Hamoud Al-Suwaimi, he was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault. That's rape, isn't it? And 1 assault by penetration. So yeah, he raped somebody. And it says here, he was jailed for 2 years, but the jail sentence was suspended for 2 years. So that means he didn't go to jail. And his actual sentence was 180 hours of unpaid work, so the BBC says, which is basically community service. So the meme said 180 hours of community service, no prison time, which is basically what the BBC reported. So what conclusions can we draw from this? Conclusion number 1 is that 2-tier policing definitely exists within the UK. So the guy that did the stickers, he got, let me just go back to this again. He got 2 years in prison for producing some stickers, whereas the dude who of a different ethnicity who raped a 12-year-old got 180 hours of community service and no prison time. So for me, I don't know, this is just my judgment really, like I would say that raping somebody might be more of a serious crime than producing some stickers, one of which pertained to a forecast about demographics. So 2-tier policing definitely exists. Stormtrooper Starmer has basically come out and said that 2-tier policing doesn't exist. So he's basically, it's like the quote, isn't it, in 1984, where the final actions of the kind of this authoritarian state is to get you to go along with statements that are just blatantly untrue. And or another kind of more recent time. Do you remember the comical Ali, the guy in Iraq, who just as the tanks were entering Baghdad, he was basically still saying that the Americans were going to be defeated. You must remember him, Comical Ali. Well, there's another meme for you here of two-tier Keir Starmer saying that there's no two-tier policing in Britain when there definitely is. Again, this has been going on for a very long time. I saw it myself personally it would have been, well, it was in both actually, September and in October 2020. I attended two anti-lockdown demonstrations that were held in Trafalgar Square in London. And I saw elderly women, somebody's grandma, being beaten up by people wearing police uniforms. That happened. I saw that with my own eyes. And these people were peacefully protesting. They were, as I say, they were somebody's grannies. Then at the same time, fast forward a year later, we had some pretty major civil disturbances in Britain that were organised by Black Lives Matter. Criminal damage took place. There was a statue in the harbour in Bristol that was thrown into the sea, and basically nothing happened to these people. The police didn't assault them, but they did assault. So there is two-tier policing in the UK, and that is undeniable. So the conclusion that you can draw from that is that the UK is not a civilised country. It is a police state. It's been a police state for a very long time now, unfortunately. And as I said earlier in the video, these laws that we have that are based on this concept of, what do they call it, protected characteristics. By definition, this is racist. And I think what's happened in the UK is that we've put up with this type of institutionalized racism for far too long, and it's just completely unacceptable. And we need to just very calmly explain to politicians and PC authoritarian fools that this is totally it's totally unacceptable, and it's immoral, and it's got to stop. The final thing to say is that for these people that say scream source, who are trying to deny reality that two-tier policing exists in Britain, I'm minded of this quote by Ayn Rand. We can ignore reality, but we can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And that's where we currently are in Britain. These leftists, they live in an institutionally racist country where it's just so I could have made this video hours long with case after case after case that proves that two-tier policing exists. So leftists, PC authoritarians can deny that. They can deny reality, but what they won't be able to deny is that they live in an authoritarian police state that holds different races and religions to different legal standards. And the police force are part of that too. So the police force are just not fit for purpose. So I'm making this on Wednesday. What we got? Wednesday the 7th of August. So I hear that there's going to be some demonstrations again in London. I would say, my advice to people would be, I would stay well away from those demonstrations. Because basically Starmer's stormtroopers will infiltrate those demonstrations with agents provocateurs, and then you'll be deemed guilty by association. So we've just got to stop falling into these fairly obvious traps that have been set for us. In another video that I'm going to make tomorrow, I'm going to go into detail about what we do to oppose Keir Starmer's blatant authoritarian takeover. What can we do legally that will basically, well, I don't. It's got to be careful about the language that I use here, but to basically indicate to this authoritarian that his actions are just totally unacceptable, and for the people, the big corporations that back Starmer, there are things that we can do, and I'm going to talk about those things tomorrow. It's a lovely day, so I'm just going to go to after I've edited this and put this up onto YouTube, I'm going to go to the beach. So please forgive me for that and have a swim in the sea. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.